Formación and bringing you solutions tailor-made for your business. So we're here this morning. We're going to be helping you with your business English, different things. We'll be helping you with vocabulary, pronunciation. I have a few interesting things for you lined up. So what I'm going to talk about first, and let's jump into it, is the other day it didn't upload onto LinkedIn. So I'll be doing a bit of a repeat of some of those topics. And we'll be starting with the question of tea and biscuits and culture in the UK. Everywhere you go in the world, you have a specific culture, things that are normal, the norm. I live here in Spain, and you don't really have a tea culture here in Spain. You have more of a coffee culture. Well, there is a very strong tea culture in the UK. We're going to look at that in a moment, the UK and Ireland. We're also going to be looking at sports idioms that you can use in your business or that you are probably using already. We're going to look at those in the HR corner. We're going to be looking at the difference between and the competition between millennials, Generation X, baby boomers, Gen Z, alphas. We're going to be looking at those. What else are we going to look at today? We're going to be looking at the new Tesla robot versus another one. Is it just type? And we're going to be looking at the news of the morning. I'm going to jump in first and focus on what I mentioned earlier. I have my coffee this morning. This is Coffee Time with James O'Reilly. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 8:30 to 9:30. It's an hour where we can just relax, listen to some English, what's happening, pick up a few different things, and just enjoy English for what it is. I've got my biscuits, and I'm going to plug the company. These are from Carrefour. I've got a lot of Carrefour people on LinkedIn, so this is what I'm using. These are the Digestive Biscuits. Let's get them into the screen there. And these are very popular as well in the UK with a cup of tea. So I'm going to just bring myself down and let me jump into this article. So originally, biscuits apparently come from Persia, which is modern day Iran, also in the news at the moment for all the wrong or the right reasons. And then in the 7th century before BC, before Christ, or BCE, before the Common Era, they were invented. And then they came and were introduced into Europe through Spain with the conquest of the Moors, the Arabs, into Iberia. And now look where we are. We're at it's total culture in the UK. So I'm going to just scroll down and show you guys the popular biscuits. But before I do, let me just go back up. Before I do, I said this on Wednesday, but the video I couldn't upload the video for some reason. When you go to the house of someone in the UK, it's very normal for them to offer you tea or coffee. Excuse me. Now, tea for us, I think, was introduced during when the UK colonized India and a tea growing nation. It came from India and was brought back, and now it's just part of the mainstream culture. People drink tea all during the day. Whereas here, quite often in Spain, you'll have coffee in the morning. Like I'm having a coffee now. I'm going to have probably 2 or 3 coffees before the afternoon, and then I won't have any. Whereas if I'm drinking tea, I'll drink tea all during the day. So it's not so caffeine intense, and we love our tea. Now, how do you take tea? It's a big debating point. How do you prepare it? Well, you buy your tea bags, your regular tea bags that you can buy in any supermarket, Lidl, Dia, Carrefour. Got to be careful here, Aldi, all the common stores, okay? You can buy your tea there. It comes in a sachet. We call these little bags sachets, or a tea bag. Depends what you want to call it. Generally, the sugar that you get with in a cafe, we'll call that a sugar sachet. Right, so this is the debating point, but you put the boiling water in on top of the tea bag, and then you leave it to brew, or you leave it to draw. And what the draw is, the tea is coming out of the tea bag, or it's brewing. Then after a couple of minutes, you'll add a bit of milk. So when somebody comes to your house, or you're in the office in London, and I've been explaining this to students of mine who have London offices as well as here in Spain, it's very important, if it's your turn to make the tea, to get it right. Okay, you need to know how people take their tea. You say, how do you take your tea? And they'll say, no sugar, just a little bit of milk, please. Or a builder's tea. Builders are the albañiles. They generally, or a builder doing construction, obras, they generally like their tea with lots of milk and lots of sugar and strong. So you leave the tea bag in longer. Now, I can talk about tea all day because it's so important. And the only thing I can maybe make an equivalent of maybe is how important coffee is for you in the morning, or how important mate is perhaps for Argentinians or Uruguayans when they're going around all day with their flask. So let's jump in. Another thing we like is to accompany our tea with a biscuit. And I'm going to show you the top biscuits that are used in the UK. So let's scroll down. As I said, introduced or started in Persia in the 7th century BCE, then coming up through Spain and into Europe. So here's our first biscuit. This biscuit is the Bourbon Biscuit. Nothing special, and a lot of these biscuits are not too special. It's not a competition to show you how good our pastries are. This is just a common thing that you will find when you go to someone's house or in the office. Because if you have something that's too nice, well, the kids are going to eat them really quickly in the house. And if you bring them to the office workers will eat them very quickly, even without having a cup of tea. So you have to find a balance of a biscuit that's nice to Dunkin' Donuts, to dunk in your tea or to dip in your tea. That's not too expensive, but nice enough to enjoy with a cup of tea. So this one is the Bourbon. Often you'll find this in a tin, like a box that comes at Christmas time. And I find, in my experience, this one generally left towards the end. Okay, not a total favorite, but it's always around. Everybody knows this biscuit. It's always hanging around. The next one, as I showed earlier in the photos, the Digestive Biscuit. This one looks quite nice. It's got some maybe raisins in there, oats. But look at this one. This is the typical one. The typical plain, and we say plain when it's just normal. If it no extras, we say plain. Plain digestive. I've got the ones with the chocolate because I'm being fancy. Okay, fancy is like I'm being extravagant. I've got the chocolate. Next, followed by hobnobs. Essentially a different type of digestive, but it's hobnobs. And again, you can get the chocolate on top of these. Down to nice biscuits. Okay, the proper pronunciation I found out from this article is Nice biscuits, like the city in the south of France. But you can't say that because that's not culturally correct, because we say nice biscuits and we don't know why they're called nice biscuits. I do because I just discovered, but no one else does. They're called nice biscuits and they're very, very bad for dunking in your tea, because I guarantee if I dunk this nice biscuit into my tea or coffee, before I get to my mouth, it's going to be all over my shirt. But still, they're quite nice, and they're always around. These biscuits are always around somewhere. As you can see, nothing special, just a plain biscuit, but it goes well with a cup of tea. That one I would advise just eating and then drinking the tea. It's an interesting fact, actually. I mentioned Iran. I went to Iran one time, and the way they drink tea in Iran is when they take sugar, they have these kind of, it's a really cool type of sugar where it almost looks like a piece of candy or a piece of sweet, but it's sugar, and they put it into their mouth, maybe not everyone does this, but you can put it into your mouth and then you drink the tea. And as you drink the tea, it passes the sugar, the hard sugar, and then you get your tea with sugar. So it's really quite interesting. I like that. I personally don't take my tea with sugar. It's my choice, my life. Leave me alone. Next, we are going down to Jammy Dodgers. Okay. Jammy Dodgers are popular with most people. You can give these to the kids in school. You can have them at home. Jammy Dodgers, inside is some jam, which is mermelada. And it's quite sticky, holds the biscuit together well. Good for dipping in your tea or your coffee. Next, we have shortbread. Shortbread seems to exist everywhere in the world, as far as I can see. Well, in Europe anyway. And it's kind of, I would say, more traditional biscuit everywhere. Made with butter, good quality. And if you want good quality shortbread in the United Kingdom, you're looking at Scottish shortbread, okay, if that's what you're going to spend more money on. But if you want the cheap ones, where I don't really see much of a difference, you can get these tins and it says Danish biscuits from Denmark. Essentially, it's shortbread. Quite nice. Most people tend to like shortbread. Here's a very common one, ginger nuts. These are kind of come in a packet like this. Lots of them, nice and cheap. You'll have a couple with your tea. They're not going to disappear from the office too quickly. Your children won't eat them too quickly. They'll survive in the house for at least for a week or more. Scrolling down, Cadbury's fingers. I don't have a picture, but it's essentially like a finger covered in chocolate. You get the idea. They come and they disappear quite quickly. Not good for staying in the house. The kids will eat them. The people in the office will make them disappear. Don't buy these too often. Next, Jaffa Cakes, which is it a biscuit? Is it a cake? Technically, it's a cake, but it's a biscuit, okay? I love these generally with the orange inside the middle. They have alternative ones with the pineapple flavor, with the strawberry flavor. I don't really care for those. It's orange or nothing. That's everybody likes these. Survival time in the office, not long. Survival time in your home, not long, but very nice indeed. Not very good for dunking because the underside, so we have the top and then we have the underside. The underside's very soft. Tea to mouth, you have to be a professional. You have to be a professional. This one I'm not too sure of. I think, was it Garibaldi biscuits? Wasn't popular in my house. These here would be raisins, which are pasas. And they're nice, but I wouldn't dip that into a tea. It wouldn't survive. And then last but not least, these guys. These are the guys that are these are pink wafer biscuits. These are the ones that are left at the end of the Christmas box. They have aged badly. They're not crunchy anymore. They're kind of bendy, and after a while, the last one left in the tin. But if you eat them fresh, they're okay. They're okay. Nothing special. However, that's how I feel about it. You can dip it. It works well dipping, but you got to be quick. My wife is from Turkey, and over there's a very, very big culture of these biscuits. So I was quite surprised. It reminded me of my childhood and Christmas time, because there was a big culture. It reminded me of this biscuit. They do the vanilla flavor, the chocolate flavor, strawberry. They're everywhere. And over there as well, there is a biscuit culture when you visit people's houses. I remember I lived in Istanbul for a few years, and anytime people were coming to visit us, because it's also a tea culture in Turkey, anytime people visited, they would bring little cookies or little biscuits. And their glasses, I wish I was showing a student yesterday, we were talking about this. Their glasses are a lot smaller. We'll drink from, well, this is kind of like a small cup, but generally we'll drink from a mug. You might think that we drink tea from cups, but let me show you. This is generally what we drink from. If you go to the house or you have your mug in the office, it's called a mug, okay? And that's generally what we will drink tea and coffee from, is a mug. A cup is smaller. Maybe what you get your coffee when you go to the cafe here in Spain, you'll get a cup. You know how it is, it's smaller. But we use these because we put a lot of liquid on the tea bag. I'm getting into the fine details, but trying to explain to my students, this is so important. This is so important. It's like I said, maybe mate in Argentina, Uruguay, and coffee for you guys. It's important to know. And generally, tea is black tea, okay? We're not talking, now it's becoming more popular, flavored teas, but generally it's like you have one flavor of coffee. You're not talking about strawberry flavored coffee. You're not talking about lemon flavored coffee, mint flavored coffee. Exactly the same with tea. Black tea with milk. Okay. Other countries without milk. Turkey without milk. Talking to one of my students gave me valuable insight into Moroccan tea and how they drink it, which is green tea, loose leaf, which means in the teapot with not in bags, with the leaf cut into small bits, and then mint is added. Very important, and a lot of sugar. So that was very interesting how they take it in a glass as well. We have ours in a cup or in a mug, and very interesting. Also on the biscuits, I was told that generally in Morocco they will, as we will have packaged biscuits. In Turkey, you can buy them in a shop and bring them home. Well, in Morocco, you should make them homemade. So I'm very interested in this topic. And it's also interesting that you come to a country that is so near to where you're from, a couple of hours in a plane, and tea is non-existent. It's just not cultural, and it's a culture shock. I remember I came to Spain first. I was in Valencia. But also it happened when I went to Germany, no kettles in the house. And it's like every house in the UK and Ireland, we all have a kettle. It's just fundamental. And then you come here and it's gone. It's shocking. It's a culture shock. So that is the tea culture. This one is called a custard cream. This one, again, not very expensive. Beside the mug here, as you can see, they're not going to disappear, but nice just to dip in your tea during the afternoon, a nice cup of tea. I like to say tea is a hug in a mug. And often when I come home from a long journey or I've had a long day or something, you just fancy a cup of tea. It's just like a hug in a mug. So I'm very, very passionate about tea. And if you go to the UK, you will see as well. It's part of the culture there. But there, maybe inside London with so many international people, you might not notice so much. But when you get a group of English people, and if you want to, I'm going to jump into something different now. But if you really want to wind English people up, or British people, UK people, you can, or if you want to get them talking, you can say, so should I put the milk in the mug first or in the cup, or should I put the hot water in first? And they'll just explode. It's because that is like political parties. There's the right wing and left wing. Milk in first or milk in last. Personally, I'm water in first, milk in last, but it's a very hot topic, and get ready for some passion. So that's a great one. Tea, part of our culture. I love talking about these things. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to jump into our HR corner, and I'm going to talk to you guys about, I wanted to talk to you guys about what British people say when they're talking to you and what they actually mean. So here we go. As you can see in front of you now, in this HR corner, when you're working and doing business with British people, they'll often say things, but guess what? They mean something completely different. So this is very, very frustrating for some countries, because in this country, especially in Spain, you're very direct with people. Okay, but there are other countries, I'm sure if you've worked with, and I've heard from my students, that in South America, for example, their colleagues are more indirect. Or if you're direct with them, it's too much. You need to be more polite, more indirect, more formal, and so on. But here in Spain, it's if I do something bad, it's James, that's very bad. Let's do it again. And no hard feelings, not trying to hurt me, just being direct, just being honest. And often they will say that in the United States, doing business with people from the United States is quite similar. However, when you're doing work or business in the UK and Ireland, there is a tendency to be indirect. So you have to be aware of this. Now, a lot of you have international offices and you're talking to your colleagues. They will, you already know this or you don't know. I'm going to let you know right now. Okay. So up the top on the left here, we have what the British say, what the British mean, and what we understand. So let's start here at the top. It says what the British say. If someone's in a meeting and they say, you're talking to them and they're listening and they go, I hear what you say. You might think, oh, he accepts my point of view. That's what we understand. Okay, I hear what you say. But if your manager or if the boss or the CEO or whoever it may be says this, quite often they're saying, I disagree and I don't want to discuss this any further. Okay, let me kind of give you an example. So I think we should perhaps wait and see what the other company is going to do first, see if they're going to offer us a lower price, or we can take advantage of the markets at the moment, and perhaps maybe waiting is the best thing to do. Right, I hear what you say. Okay, so it's like the boss, in this case a man, because he says, he kind of being dismissive. So it's this, I hear what you say, I disagree, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay, it's kind of like saying, yeah, okay, not interested in what you're saying. Okay, next one. With the greatest respect, we think, okay, he's listening to me. What I really mean is, I think you're an idiot. Okay, generally when someone says, James, with the greatest respect, the next thing is going to be an insult. The next thing is going to be like, I'm going to be brutally honest with you and I'm going to tell you something. And it's not with the greatest respect. It basically means you're talking nonsense, more than likely, and you're an idiot. Okay. Now here I heard in Spain that when you say with the greatest respect, is you are in fact being quite nice. Okay. I'm listening to you. I'm being polite to you, but it's the opposite. Generally, also another one like this is like, I'm sorry, but, and that followed by an insult. So with the greatest respect, followed by is like, I don't care what you just said. That was stupid. You're an idiot. And let's move on to the next one. So with the greatest respect, followed by disrespect. Okay. Next one. That's not bad. So you might think, like I talk to my students and they'll say, how are you, James? And I'll say, not bad, thanks. And a lot of people here in Spain think that what I mean is regular. But in fact, when I say not bad, I really mean bien. It's a standard response to say not bad at all. I'm not too bad. It means bien. So here you might think, oh, that's not great. That's poor. But if you're talking to someone in the office and you're talking about whatever you're talking about in a meeting, and someone said, okay, that's not bad. That's kind of showing interest. It's I like it. That's good. So it's better than I hear what you say. Moving down. If you are making a proposal and somebody says, that is a very brave proposal, you might think over here on the right, he thinks I have courage, thinks I'm brave, he thinks I have courage. But really what your boss is saying, he or she is saying, you're insane, you're crazy. When you say something is a very brave proposal, it means kind of very risky and kind of you're insane. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. That's insane. That will never work. So it's like I say, look, it's indirect. That's a very brave proposal. It's like, that's not going to work. Okay, I can't tell you to your face because I can't say you're insane because we're indirect. So I have to say something in a way that you will understand what I mean. And it basically means you're insane. Okay, moving on. Someone says, your boss says, she says, quite good, quite good, quite good. You think is quite good, but she means it's a bit disappointing. Okay, there are clues as to what is good, and there are clues as to what is disappointing. This one is a bit grey. It's a bit ambiguous. I would be trying to read the face a bit more of my boss, but I think often here is what they mean is quite good generally is followed by a suggestion. So as you can see here, it says a bit disappointing. Okay, it's quite good, but I'd like to see a bit more of Laura in the presentation. Okay, maybe I'm in the presentation too much, but we want Laura in the presentation too. It's quite good, and it's followed by but. So listen for the suggestion after quite good. Or if it's quite good and just a head nodding, like, quite good. It's missing something. Something's missing, okay? I would suggest, yes, okay. This is a situation where you think they're saying, think about the idea, but do what you like. But when your boss or your colleague or your superior says, what they mean is do it or be prepared to justify yourself. So when they suggest something, your boss says, I would suggest, that means do it. Okay? And generally when someone is saying I would suggest is they are being quite strict. They're being hard. So I would suggest you look at the presentation, review it, and see what you can do. That means change it, okay? Do it. Not that it's a suggestion, it's an order. This is a great one, is the next one. This one here is, oh, incidentally, or, oh, by the way. You might think your boss is walking out the door and she says, oh, by the way, por cierto, walking out the door. And she'll just look in the door and she'll say, did you do that report, or are you finished that report? You know, el informe, the report. That means here the primary purpose of our discussion is, so I've been talking to my boss, we've been talking about different things, and then she is on her way out the door, she sticks her head back in, she says, oh, by the way, how are you doing with that report? That means that's all I care about. That report is very important for me. So it looks like she doesn't care. It looks like, oh, I just remembered. No, she hasn't just remembered. She's just been waiting for a moment to say it. It's been on her mind. And this is the main purpose. And she wants that report. And she wants it now. She wants to know it's going to be delivered in time, on time, now, yesterday. So when someone says, oh, by the way, and they're your superior, ears need to be focused. Most of these would be in a situation of a boss, okay, let's say, because these, yeah, from your superior. Next one. I was a bit disappointed that we think, oh, maybe, you know, he doesn't really care. It doesn't really matter. I was a little bit disappointed that you didn't have a section of the presentation about the future of the company. That means I'm upset, I'm annoyed. I'm not disappointed. I'm angry, I'm annoyed. Why didn't you have a section of the presentation about the future of the company? Okay, so I was a bit disappointed. Again, this is British people. They are indirect, and you just have to learn the ways, okay? They're not going to tell you. I'm telling you now, look at this video again. This is very important. But when I hear I was a bit disappointed that there was no section on the future of the company, I know that they're angry or annoyed. They're not happy. They're not happy. Okay. Next one down is very interesting. Okay. I'm talking, I give a presentation, or I'm talking in a meeting, and my boss, he says, right, very interesting. That means a lot of people might think, oh, okay, it's interesting. But really, the boss just is disregarding me and is saying, what you're saying is clearly nonsense. It's clearly nonsense. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. Very interesting. Not interesting, it's nonsense. Okay, next one, I'll bear it in mind. Let me go down here. I've made it bigger now. Great. I'll bear it in mind. Okay, so I'll keep it in mind. Tomo nota. If I say something like, yeah, so we were hoping that we could do this, and the boss says, okay, yeah, I'll bear it in mind. It means I'm not listening to you. Tomo nota. It's gone. It's gone. They're not listening. Okay, I'll bear it in mind. Not interesting for me at the moment. Okay, if someone says, I'll bear it in mind, I'm not sure. Like sometimes I translate, for example, if somebody says it to me in Spanish and they say something like, oh yeah, you need to kind of, I sometimes say tomo nota in this sense of like, okay, I'm not really listening, but like I have to say something to you. Generally, it could be someone these situations of like whoever, a company, that telephone company or something. Yeah, just remember that we have this, it's only until the end of November, so you need to get it now. Okay, yeah. I'll tomo nota. I'll bear it in mind. I don't care. Okay, so you can tell me if I'm saying it in the right way, but I really don't care. Okay. Okay, so we say you're talking to someone, there is a problem, and you say, so Maria, this really happened. Now, I'm sure it's my fault, but we need to have this ready. But when this, I'm sure it's my fault, really means you might think, oh yeah, it is, okay, maybe it's their fault, but really what they're saying is it's your fault. It's like, because they're coming to you, they're telling you about the problem, and they're just trying to be indirect, because they're accusing you, but they have to be indirect how they accuse you. So just say, yeah, it's probably my fault, but if we could have this changed by next week, that would be fantastic. Okay, it's your fault, change it for next week. Okay, it's not my fault, it's your fault. Okay, again, indirect. Everything's indirect. And we're talking about in the office here, also outside, but in the office, be very aware of these. Okay, so this has happened. I'm trying to think. The next one is so informal Christmas party. Around this time, you're having a meeting. You meet the bosses or whoever. It's go, oh, you must come for dinner. So often in Spain, you will eat out. You will meet people outside, your colleagues, for dinner. You'll meet them outside often. In the UK, restaurants are not so common. Having meals with your colleagues is rare. Definitely not like here in Spain. And if you meet someone, let's say, I go, oh yes, James, yes, you must come for dinner sometime. Come over to their house for dinner. You're thinking, great, like I'm gonna get an invitation. The boss likes me. Fantastic. I'm in. It really means, it's not an invitation. I'm just being polite. Exactly. It's just like, you're not coming to my house for dinner. I'm just being nice to you. You're a nice person. that would be an idea, but it probably more than likely will never happen. Okay, yeah, it's just oh yeah, I must have you over for dinner sometime. You're an interesting person. You're a nice person. I'm good, but really, more than likely won't happen. More than likely, that's just the truth of it. One thing I've noticed that we do tend to do is, and as well, if the boss said that to me, I would be like, oh, that's nice, and I'll feel bad because I know it won't happen, you know. But we kind of know these things straight away. We kind of just in one ear as well, out the other. Yeah, definitely, that'd be great, fantastic. Get to talk to you. But really, we're just all used to it. Okay. I almost agree, which means yes, I don't really agree at all. So different opinions in a meeting, different ideas. Yeah, I almost agree. I don't agree. Okay, it's not that it's like I appreciate what you want to say, but I don't agree. I don't think it's what you've said is valuable. I don't think it's interesting. I only have a few minor comments. This is when you hand something to your boss, your superior, and you think, oh, just a few small changes. A few minor comments. It means do it again. Okay? Don't like it. If there's a few, it means I don't like it. If there's one thing, just one thing, maybe it's just one thing. And you need to put that in. You need to put a few minor comments. Minor again, small. Doesn't matter. I don't like it. You need to change it. Just a few minor comments. Because those comments will probably mean they're in different sections and you will have to change it. And finally, could we consider some other options? Okay, so you're coming up with ideas and then the boss she says, could we consider some other options? Whatever ideas up to this point have not been interesting for her. Okay, she doesn't like them. Could we consider some other options? It's like, if she says, that's a good idea, James, and she wanted some other options anyway, she would say, that's a good idea, James. Does anyone else have any other ideas? That still would mean I'm looking for something more. But in this case, could we consider some other options is disregarding what you said and I need something better. So that's it. That is the what the British say and what they mean. It is an indirect country. As I said, here, you come here to Spain, very direct, but in the UK, people are more direct. Maybe there are always some people who are comfortable with giving you their honest opinion. They have no problem. But it is quite common to be indirect. And again, when I worked in Istanbul, even I found those people even more indirect. And that was frustrating for me. So different countries, different styles. I think, as far as I know, the US is more direct. The UK is more indirect. It's just kind of playing with words. But when you get used to these words, which will take you time, once you're used to them, it is direct because you know exactly what it means. So it's direct, but it kind of we say, this is a blow. It's a blow. It's a punch. We say it kind of softens the blow. It softens the blow. It's like, I'm not going to be too hard. Let me know yourselves, if you guys are watching on YouTube, in the comments, your country, are you direct? Are you indirect? I've heard in South America, you guys are indirect. You guys in Spain, more direct. Let me know in the comments. That would be fantastic to know. Okay, so I'm going to stay in this area and I'm going to move over to, well, I only wanted to deal with, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. Give me 1 second, guys. Right. I'm going to be looking at El País in a moment, but what I wanted to talk to you about, I wrote it down here. was. Yes. This is in relation to your work. And I did it earlier. I did it the other day and I couldn't get it on screen, but I'm going to give you five sports idioms that you can use when you're in work. So the first one is to drop the ball. To drop the ball. So what is to drop the ball? To drop the ball is to take your eye off and to not be focused, okay? When there's new innovation in the area of your business, and you're not focused, you have the ball and you drop the ball, okay? So don't drop the ball, stay focused, concentrate on what you're doing and stay ahead in the business, stay ahead in the area, okay? Drop the ball. So perhaps you could say, in negotiations, Mark really dropped the ball in the negotiations. He asked for too much money, or he didn't give the right price. He really dropped the ball in the negotiations. Okay. Another sports idiom is to give it your best shot. Give it your best shot. That is probably like a shot, like firing at a target. Give it your best shot. Kind of is quite obvious or straightforward. When we say something is not complicated, it's straightforward. Give it your best shot is try your best. Do what you can. Give it your best shot. Try and aim for the target as best as you can. Give it your best shot. You'll be talking to, look, Mark, you're going into these negotiations. These guys are notoriously difficult for negotiations. It's not looking good for us. But look, give it your best shot. Do your best. Okay. Coffee break time. It's coffee morning with James O'Reilly. In association with Elika Formation, we're here in the HR corner, and I'm on to number 3 of the sports idioms that you're using in work. Okay. So the next one is to throw in the towel. The towel is what we use in the bathroom to dry ourselves. And the towel, throw in the towel. Okay, can you remember where this comes from? Any idea? Well, it's from boxing. Okay, and boxing, you throw in the towel when you quit. Okay, we're going to use negotiations here for the moment. In negotiations, if you throw in the towel, is you quit the negotiations. You have decided to pull out. It's a phrasal verb I mentioned the other day here or in a class. To pull out of the negotiations, to throw in the towel, is to quit. Okay, it's not looking good. There's no point in proceeding. We are going to throw in the towel. Okay, like in boxing, because in boxing, when you throw in the towel, your coach, that means to the referee, stop the fight. Okay, we quit. Throw in the towel. The next one for I'm on number 4 now, but here I actually missed it, so I'm going to say number 3 here, but it's number 4, is to be out of someone's league. To be out of someone's league. Let's talk about, let's say, telecommunications. Okay, we have here in Spain, we have top companies, Orange, Vodafone, Telefonica, not in that particular order. I'm not trying to offend anyone, okay? But these are top companies that everybody knows, okay? And then you maybe get a new company who's not so well known and they're not in the same league, okay? So we're doing negotiations or we're trying something and we say, look, we're not in their league. Those guys have so much more infrastructure. Those guys have so many more customers than us. We're not in their league. They're out of our league. So that's how you would say it in a business sense. We're not at the same level, okay? And often, in a common way on the street, let's say, or in just common life, when you're not in someone's league, it's about attraction, okay? I look the way I look. If I am single and I want to be with a supermodel, my friends will say, James, you're not in her league. She's just so much more attractive than you. She's going to be going for people that are way more attractive than you. You're not in her league. Okay, this is how it's used on a daily basis with in common life. But in business, you can then change it and we're not as good as them. They are better than us, okay? We're not in their league. Okay, moving on to the next one. That was number 4, and we're going to do one more. Okay, to stay ahead of the game. Okay, number 5 of business idioms related to sport, to stay ahead of the game. Okay, ahead of the game is just being out in front, ahead of your competition. Again, let's say supermarkets in this case. You got supermarkets and you're doing something that you might want to attract new customers, retain customers. How can you stay ahead of the game? Are you going to be the people that are first to introduce self-checkouts, the first to introduce online buying? Okay, maybe you were, okay, but that all exists now. So now how can you stay ahead of the game? How about when you go to a supermarket and you just put your trolley on a square, and like in Decathlon, fantastic, a good example is Decathlon. When you put your products into the box, it scans them naturally, and you don't need a person, you don't need to move them. It's just the box somehow knows what's in there. That's innovation, staying ahead of the competition, staying ahead of the game, okay? So how can you stay ahead of the game? How can you be more advanced than your competition in your area? Stay ahead of the game. Okay, so that is the 5 business sports idioms that you could be using in your business, and I hope you get to use them. Very good for meetings and so on. Lots of buzzwords, and I'll keep giving you more of those. Okay, so that was the HR corner, and what I wanted to move on to was something a bit light-hearted. As you can see in the background, it's a picture of a millennial taking a selfie, and there's a bit of this competition between the generations at the moment, which is, like I mentioned at the start of the stream, you have boomers who were born in the 60s, post-war, maybe the children of the post-World War generation. You have boomers, and then after the boomers was Generation X. Then after Generation X, let's say, born between late 60s until 1980. Then, of which I am part of. I'm 78, so I'm Generation X. Then from 80 to 96 is the millennials, and then 96 to 2010, I believe, is Generation Z or Z. Z in the UK, Z in the US, but we all say Generation Z. And then after that, can any of you guys guess what the last generation is right now, the children right now? So the children right now are called Generation Alpha. So that seems to be adopted. It's something I've noticed that it's not so talked about so much here in Spain, but very much in the English society. There is an idea of putting these different generations and noticing the differences. And at the moment, there is like a war going on between the millennials, who have up to now been like the cool guys, looking down on everyone else, but they are in competition now, and Gen Z are the new fashionable people, and they are making fun of the millennials, which they call they say are outdated, and they definitely do not want to be like the millennials. So a lot of you watching this will be millennials, I suppose. You're professionals, you're working, and some of you will be young Gen Z. So what it is if I just stay on this photo, on TikTok, on social media, there's something they call the Millennial Pause, and it's kind of a double meaning, because you have, when women get to a certain age, their body changes around 50 plus, let's say, and it's called the menopause. Okay, I don't know what it's called in Spanish, but in English called the menopause. And there is a trending topic on TikTok, on social media, where Gen Z are making fun of the millennials, and they call it the Millennial Pause. It's your time is over, but also showing that they're not as comfortable with social media as Gen Z. So when they do a video, or they take, as you can see in this photo, millennials are taking photos from up here. That looks to be the trendy one, but that's a very millennial thing to do. Anything the millennials do, Gen Z are doing different. They'll do it from here. They won't make a funny face. Millennials are making funny faces, like posing, doing the lips and all this. Everything must be different. The clothes, everything. And one of the millennial pause, the name millennial pause, not just the menopause, but also is because when they do the videos, before they start talking on videos, they pause, which they stop for it just to make sure the video is working. So they'll do the video and it'll be on. And they go, "Hi guys, so I'm doing a video today," and there's this pause at the start. Whereas Gen Z always are aware that the camera's always on. You press it, you're going straight away. So I don't know. I could have the millennial pause. I'm not even a millennial. I'm Generation X. Nobody talks about us. Recently, there have been arguments between millennials, very much in the newspapers, millennials against boomers. They are the parents of millennials because of house prices. Boomers saying, "Get a job, save money, you can get a house." And the millennials saying, "You don't know what it's like for us. It's so much more difficult. We can't buy a house." And the boomers saying, "Well, in our time, it was very difficult. We saved money. We weren't eating avocado and salmon for breakfast, blah, blah, blah." So these guys are against each other. And my generation, a lot of you guys, will be Generation X, which is kind of in the middle, watching this argument. So my children will be Generation Alpha. Let's see if I suppose the same thing will happen. But so far, Generation X, we're like the forgotten generation. Nobody's talking about us. We're just there working away, keeping quiet. Kind of feel attached to the older generation, and also feel attached to I think we were, when phones came along, smartphones, I was in my late 20s. So definitely used to the pre-digital age, and also used to the digital age as well. But it's an interesting conversation. Like I say, I feel connected to the older generation. I also feel connected to millennials. I feel connected in some way to Gen Z. I mean, I'm even listening to podcasts to help my Spanish from Gen Z people, and my kids are Generation Alpha. So, but there is this trend in the English world to put the generations against each other. And as you can see on social media, they are going against each other and making videos against each other. But really, it would be interesting to know, perhaps, how do you feel? Do you feel separated from your generation, the people maybe 10 years younger than you, or 15 years younger? Or is this something that happens in Spain? I don't feel it happens so much here, but definitely driving media in the English world. And as I said, on TikTok, which before, maybe I don't watch TikTok, well, it's becoming more mainstream now, like Instagram. Like definitely the younger generation are joking about millennials on Instagram taking photos of their food. Anything millennials did, they're making fun of. And then the next generation then will make fun of them. Maybe it's something that's just on social media, where there's a lot of hatred on social media. You go onto Twitter, it's lots of hatred. But then you go onto the street and everybody's just fine with each other. Is it just online, or is it something that you feel? Okay, so that's just something I wanted to mention. And let me see, the final thing that I'm going to mention or talk about today is something that I coming from El País again in English. I mentioned it in the last one. It didn't upload to LinkedIn, so I want to get it in today quickly before we finish. And that is the new robot from Tesla. Is it going to change the world? You'll see the subtitles here are in Spanish. Let's bring her back, and I'm going to show you guys the video. And let me know what you think. Is this interesting or is it boring?
I think the bot got some moves too. So this is essentially the same full self-driving computer that runs in your Tesla cars, by the way.
This is literally the first time the robot has operated without a tether. Was on stage tonight.
Okay, so that is the new Tesla robot. It's going to be on sale, as you can see, for around 20. Well, they hope to, they intend, pretende, they intend to have it for about $20,000 to help in different areas. It could be anywhere. Are you impressed? Are you underwhelmed? Is the future here, or is it kind of not so interesting? This one for me, if you thought the last video was impressive, this one is frankly scary. This is Boston Dynamics. So there you go. That is the Boston Dynamics. So much more impressive and so much more much scarier than the previous one. If these guys have guns, we are all over. I would recommend, if you haven't already and you want to find a new series, it's not exactly new, but on Netflix there's a series called Black Mirror, and it shows robots like this in the future, not exactly the same, but in the near future, hunting people, and it's very impressive, very scary, and now we see this in action. Could be great for the future. I think it's normal to be scared about the future, but perhaps we should embrace it, accept it, and welcome it. This could be very useful for, I was talking to students, could be very useful for people in their houses when they're older. If they don't want to go to a home for older people, you can have robots helping you in your house. That way you can stay in your own home. Something I would like to think of in the future. What do you think? What can we use these for? Military, for example, comes to mind when I see this, but also in a good way, these can be very, very helpful, hopefully. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I said, It's me, James O'Reilly, Coffee Morning with James O'Reilly, in association with LA Formation, so tailor-made solutions for your business. Thanks for watching. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I am live 8:30 to 9:30 here with you, helping you with your business English. Okay, have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch up with you on Monday. See you later. All